Welcome back, everybody, to the Bucks Planet podcast. And I am, of course, your host, Will Neely. And it is now officially the NFL offseason now that the Super Bowl is over. And it was a great game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. And I wanted the Chiefs to win. I thought Andy Reid deserved the Super Bowl. He's never won it before. One of the best coaches of all time. He deserved it. He won. It was a great game. I really liked to see it. It was a great game. And now that the Super Bowl is over, it is time to now look at what is ahead for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the offseason. And I promised you guys an offseason checklist that is coming. However, that is not this video, because to get to the offseason checklist, I need to talk about the most important issue of the offseason, and that is exactly what the title of this video is: the Quarterback Conundrum. What are we going to do? What are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to do in the NFL offseason with the quarterback position the way that it is? There are several options out there. I'm going to go through every option and say the pros, the cons, and then I'm going to say what we should do at the very end of the video. So, there's several good free agency quarterbacks, including our very own famous Jameis Winston. And we're going to go through all the quarterbacks. Okay, so we're going to start first with Phillip Rivers. Probably the most, out of all of them, this would probably, I would think, be the most likely. If you don't re-sign Jameis, this is the guy we would bring in. And I'm not a fan. I said I was going to say what we should do at the end of the video. I'm too opinionated. I can't just wait that long. We need to re-sign Jameis Winston. We have to do it. All the stats say you do. And I'm going to go through all of that in a moment here. So for you people out there, because this is you people and Phillip Rivers. I almost titled the video, You People and Phillip Rivers. I don't know why you like him, because I don't. I don't like him. Oh, well, Will, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. You don't know that. Maybe. Certainly not right now, he's not. At the age 38 years old. And he's the same quarterback as Jameis Winston. So, unless you want to replace Jameis Winston with another Jameis Winston who's older, doesn't know the system, has no chemistry with our wide receivers, and makes zero sense. Come on. But you're going to say, because of the fact that he's going to be cheaper, because Jameis Winston is reportedly asking for a long-term contract with $30 million per year, which is a lot of money. And I don't think he's actually going to receive that money. This is all bluffing, because no other team in the NFL would give him that money. The only team that I honestly think would be willing to put up with his turnovers is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So for the Jameis Winston, how should we pay him? If he comes up and seriously wants that kind of money, you say, thanks but no thanks. You can go to test the market, and then he's going to find nothing, and then he'll come crawling back, and then we'll sign him to a more realistic option. That's what I think is going to happen. And I think this entire Phillip Rivers rumor mill is 100% bluff for negotiating tactics, because it makes no sense why you would sign him at all. I'm going to go through his stats right now from last season. Phillip Rivers, quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers. Last season, he threw 23 touchdowns and 20 interceptions, which I believe ranks third in the NFL. So we have the league leader in interceptions at our quarterback. Let's go ahead and replace him with the third leader in interceptions. All right, guys? That's what you people think makes sense. Okay. That's okay. That's why I make podcasts and you guys don't make podcasts, because you people want to do illogical things, and I want to do logical things. That's the difference. That's really the difference. And he's going to ask for probably, I would think, between 27 and 30 million. That's how much Phillip is going to want. So he's going to want roughly the same amount Jameis is going to want, but he's going to be on a lot shorter deal. So it seems like, you're less tied down. And then you can sign Phillip Rivers, draft a rookie quarterback, develop him under a good veteran leader while you still have Bruce Arians. And that's going to be the future. That's what you people want. That's not what I want, because Phillip Rivers is 38 years old. And if you guys pay attention in sports, Carson Palmer recently had an interview with Rich Eisen, in which he said that Bruce Arians' system has over 400 plays readily available to be called at any time and any game, which is by far, even from an NFL standpoint where they have hundreds of plays, that is an absurd amount of plays to be called, even from an NFL standpoint. And Carson Palmer, who was, I think, like at least 7 years into his career at this point, when he signed with the Cardinals, he considered it like a second rookie year. So this is a veteran quarterback that signs with a new team, and because it was a Bruce Arians offense, said that his offense is like a second rookie year because it's so complicated. So Jameis Winston progressed and regressed in many ways. And the stats show, if you go to Carson Palmer's stats, the first year that Carson Palmer was with Bruce Arians was, let's see here, was in 2013, was his first year in the Bruce Arians Cardinal system. Carson Palmer threw 24 touchdowns and 22 interceptions in his first year in the Bruce Arians system. The year before that, he had 22 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So his interceptions went up by 8 from the next year. So it looks like he regressed when he moved into the Bruce Arians system. Then the following year, after his first year in the Bruce Arians system, Carson Palmer only played 6 games and unfortunately tore his ACL. But what was his stat line at that point? He threw 11 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. He was on pace to have a monster season before he tore his ACL. So since he tore his ACL and only played half the season, let's talk about the next full year he was in the system, which was in 2015. 35 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, with a quarterback rating of 104.6. This proves that Jameis Winston will be better next year in his second year in the system. It's hard because I've heard from Carson Palmer that the receivers can choose to bend off their routes when they're at the top of them, which is very hard to adjust if you're a quarterback, because sometimes you're not sure which way your receiver is going to cut. And it's everyone's first year in the new system. There's going to be significant growing pains. That is the Bruce Arians system. The first year will have significant growing pains. That's just how it is. So do you really want to bring in a 38-year-old quarterback who it's going to be, again, his first year in the system? So we're going to have to deal with another rookie season. I say that in air quotes. Another rookie season for Phillip Rivers, who has no chemistry with our wide receivers, and, again, is not experienced in the system. And he already has a high interception rate, just like Jameis Winston, not in the system. And I don't think it makes any sense why you would bring in a guy like Phillip Rivers to Tampa, other than an extremely flatline business standpoint. That's the only way you could, because he's not better than Jameis Winston. That's a fact. He's not better than him. He has no upside at all. Jameis Winston at least has upside. No upside with Phillip. I mean, he's nothing other than a bridge quarterback. And then what? You guys want to pick Jacob Eason in the second round? Because we're not getting Herbert. We're not getting Tua. And we're obviously not getting Burrow. And if you guys even just comment, if you guys even just come up to me and say, I think that the Bucs should pick Jake Fromm with Bruce, I mean, I won't even have a conversation with you. I mean, it's over at that point because you just don't know what you're talking about. Because Jake Fromm doesn't fit the system at all. Jacob Eason kind of does, but he has the same thing as Jameis. He has a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, and questionable decision-making. It was the same thing as Jameis going out of college, just a little bit worse. That's why he's going to be a second-round pick and not the first overall pick. And he's only a one-year starter in college. And we saw last time there was a one-year starter drafted very high in the draft, Mitchell Trubisky. Look at that disaster. Do you guys want to do that again? Like, This is the thing. I'm going to Florida State University next season. Okay, I got in, I enrolled. I'm going there in June for summer. Going to go all through fall, all 4 years. That's where I'm going to be. So the Bucks are about to not be my problem anymore. It's about to be you people's problem. Okay, like I'm kind of like setting you guys up for this to be your problem. I know most of you are seniors that listen to this, like me in high school, so this is also not going to be your problem. But I know there's a lot of you that just listen to this that live here permanently. And this is about to not be my problem anymore. It's about to be your problem. I'm just trying to say what we should do to make the Bucks enjoyable to watch. So you people that are going to live here can enjoy them and have fun at Bucks games. So if you people want to get Phillip Rivers and draft Jacob Eason and waste another probably 5 to 6 years of everyone's time and see a bad football team, that is, go ahead and do that. It's about to not be my problem anymore. Florida State football is going to be my problem. That's a whole other burden of bad that I'm going to be taking in. And I can't have both. So when I go to college, it's going to be about Florida State. I'll try to do some of these, but it's mainly going to be about Florida State. And that is no easy task. If you guys are informed on college football right now, it's not an easy task. So, Phillip Rivers, I do not want to come here. Oh, well, Will, he sold his house in LA. The Chargers are going to cut him. We already know that. He already moved his family to Florida. It makes perfect sense. No, it doesn't. Okay, I don't want to sign him. I read his stats. And this is what a lot of people are going to say. Well, Will, Phillip Rivers was really good the year before. He even took his team to the playoffs and won a game, I think. And he had a good season, I'll admit, last year. Not this past year, but the year before. Just so we're all clear on this one. He threw 32 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. And that's a very good stat line. But you could see the regression this year. He threw the least amount of touchdowns this year as he had since 2007. The last time he threw below 25 touchdowns was 2007 when he threw 21 touchdowns. And so his touchdowns went significantly down and his interceptions went up by 8. 8 interceptions more. It doesn't make sense. I do not want to sign him. His team went 5-11, I believe. Yep, 5-11. And the Bucks have been 5-11 the past 2 years, except this year we went 7-9. I don't want Phillip Rivers on this team. That is my case. The case for Phillip Rivers, he's a veteran. He can bridge the next quarterback. He has a strong enough arm to fit Bruce Arians' system. Because we're gonna talk about why that's going to be an issue with some of these other quarterbacks. He's a strong enough arm to fit the system. The case against, he's too old. It's going to be all new for him. New receivers, has to build new chemistry, a new offensive system that's already hard. He's not going to have a good offensive line, so he's going to get hit a lot. And is that very good for an old quarterback? I don't think so. Moving on. Next, we're going to go with another likely candidate if the Bucs were to move on from Jameis Winston, and that is going to be Teddy Bridgewater. And I also don't think this move makes any sense at all. He might go for semi-cheap. He's a little bit younger than... He's a lot younger than Phillip Rivers. He's been in the league for, I believe, 6 years. Yes, 6 years. But he took basically 2015, 2016 all off. Or I know 2016 he had the whole year basically off. And same with 2017 because of a really bad ACL tear. And he then signed with the Saints to be a backup quarterback for the past 2 seasons. And this year when Drew Brees got hurt, he came in for 5 games, went 5-0. However, he relied heavily on the defense, special teams, and run game to win games. If it wasn't for those things, he would not have gone 5-0, believe me. His yards per game through those 5 games was 153.8, which is absurdly low. His yards per attempt, 7.1, which isn't horrible. He threw 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions and threw for 1,384 yards. Completion percentage at 68%. But he went 5-0. And this will help overrate him. It's almost the same thing that happened with Nick Foles. Nick Foles was on a loaded roster in Philadelphia and was able to take the team and win a Super Bowl in the playoffs after Carson Wentz, the starting quarterback, got injured. And everyone overrated him. He then signed a very big, lengthy contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he has been absolutely terrible last season. And because he doesn't have a loaded roster anymore. He's a game manager that can just keep you in games. That's it. He's not going to win games unless you have an absolutely loaded team. He's like a Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a very good quarterback. This is something we know. If you watch the Super Bowl, he couldn't throw the ball. Emmanuel Sanders, wide open. Can't hit him. I mean, he practically threw the ball outside of the stadium. Good NFL quarterbacks hit that pass. But is Jimmy Garoppolo a good NFL quarterback? No. He's average to below average. I would say below average. I think that's a fair assessment. And Nick Foles is the same thing, and Teddy Bridgewater is the same thing. I would put Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Foles, and Teddy Bridgewater in the same basket of game manager QBs that require an absolutely loaded roster to be decently successful. That is what they are. That's the formula. The Bucs do not have that. We have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. We don't have a running game. Our defense is usually below average, except it did improve this season. So we have that going for us. But the offensive line in the running game is so awful that you can't even really do anything in terms of any type of time to throw the ball or running the ball. So on top of the fact that the running backs are already bad. And the big knock I have with Teddy Bridgewater is he just would not fit the system. Teddy Bridgewater does not have a very strong arm. And Bruce Arians' gunslinging, no risk it, no biscuit system requires a strong arm. And Teddy Bridgewater does not have a strong arm. So why would we sign him? I don't know, you people want to sign him because that's what you people. It's not all of you guys, but there's a solid group of you guys that just make no sense all the time. And this is something that you would think. Teddy Bridgewater would be a horrible fit in this system. If the Bucs sign him, it's going to be hard for me to even consider following them while I'm in college. I mean, it's going to be tough. So the case for Teddy Bridgewater, he's a veteran, but a slightly younger veteran. He doesn't throw many interceptions, which is the opposite of our current quarterback. He can game manage games and keep you in them. The knock against Teddy Bridgewater doesn't fit our system at all. Hasn't actually started a full season in about 3 or 4 years. Actually, how long has it been? Yeah, hasn't started a full season in 4 years. Would you guys consider that a bad thing? I don't know, but you people want him. So, I mean, I guess it's not a bad thing. You know, hasn't started a full season in 4 years. And he doesn't fit our system at all because he doesn't have a strong enough arm. So, I wouldn't even consider Teddy Bridgewater among the quarterbacks. Moving on. The only quarterback who I would be like, maybe you bring in this guy. And that is, of course, the GOAT, Tom Brady. It would be hard to imagine seeing him in a different uniform other than the Patriots. Nonetheless, a Buccaneer uniform. It could happen. Very not likely. I don't think he'll even entertain a conversation with us unless it's just a negotiating tactic with New England. I just don't think there's any interest in him coming here. There's all these reports that don't know what they're talking about, that just want views, that say that he might come here. I don't believe any of them. I have to actually see it with my own eyes. And once the free agency frenzy starts in about middle of March, and if he comes here for an interview, then I'll be like, okay, maybe he actually could come here. However, Tom Brady is 43 years old. 43 years old. We'd have to pay him a lot of money, at least $30 million, for probably around 2 years. And he kind of has the Phillip Rivers problem. He's super old. He's going to be learning a brand new system with a ton of play calls. But if anyone could do it, Brady could do it, right, Will? I guess you're right. He's one of the smartest players to ever play. But is his arm and his physical durability still there with a 30th ranked offensive line and no run game and a below average defense? Can he win games with that? I don't know. He won a lot of games in New England this year, got exposed in the playoffs. And if you guys even watched him play, you could see he regressed this year. He's starting to show his age. He's not the same quarterback he used to be. And that's a problem. Because if you're going to come into a system that is built around long developing plays where quarterbacks can get hit a lot, Jameis led the league in quarterback hits. Carson Palmer led the league in quarterback hits. I don't know if he led the league, but he was definitely top 3. This is just what the system is. Can Tom Brady at 43 years old sustain those hits? I don't think he can. I mean, he has DeMar Dotson blocking for him possibly next year, Donovan Smith, Ryan Jensen, and don't even get me started on Josh Wells. I just don't think Tom Brady, if you want me to be honest, would be a good fit here. He's too old and he's going to be sustaining too many hits. I don't think it would work out. I think he'd get injured. And then what would we be stuck with? Ryan Griffin? Okay, let's be honest. He's not the answer. Don't even entertain that idea, even though some of you will. So pros to Tom Brady coming here. He's the best player of all time. He's very smart, so he could possibly learn the system quickly. He would have a lot of offensive receiving weapons. The knock. He's very old and would get hit a lot, so he's at risk for an injury at any point. He again he might not have the arm he used to complete the deep balls and all of the things that Bruce Arians would require him to because he is, again, 43 years old. Third, I just don't know. I don't think he'd actually come here. So third, the knock on Tom Brady for the third one is the fact that he might not even have any interest in coming here. And now let's again talk about Jameis Winston because that is an option for next year, so we're going to talk about him. If you had to look at every quarterback, all the ones I've talked about, including Jameis at this point, so 4 quarterbacks, because I'm not talking about Marcus Mariota being a free agent because that would make 0 sense and he sucks. I'm not talking about Ryan Tannehill because he sucks too. I'm not talking about it, so don't even entertain the idea. Now, you have that list, and you say these are the things that would be required for a free agency quarterback. He needs to have a big arm. And who are the ones that are guaranteed to have a big arm at this point in their career? I would say Phillip Rivers checks that box. Jameis Winston checks that box. Again, Tom Brady's a little too old, and Teddy Bridgewater has never had a good arm. Now, what's something else you'd like? You'd like them to have a familiarity with the system. Who's the only quarterback who has a familiarity in the system? Jameis Winston. We would like our quarterback to have chemistry with our wide receivers. Who's the only quarterback that has a Jameis Winston? We would like our quarterback to be young and slightly able to move around to complete passes because of our horrible offensive line and our long developing plays. So there's going to be multiple times a quarterback has to evade the pocket and make throws outside the pocket on the run. And who is the most capable of doing that? Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston. Those are probably the 3 biggest things you're looking for. And who's the only quarterback that checks the box on every one of those things? That's Jameis Winston, and that's why you bring him back. For those of you that don't know, Jameis Winston had a record-setting 30 for 30 year. He threw over 30 touchdowns and then exactly 30 interceptions. So he's good and bad at the same time. He's really an enigma in Tampa Bay. And a lot of people want him gone. A lot of people want him to stay. I want him to stay. You have to give him at least one more year. The 30 interceptions is unacceptable. It is. But you cannot sit there and say that all of them were his fault because a lot of them weren't. A lot of them were growing pains. We already saw from Carson Palmer's stats that the interceptions do go down after the first year. And I think it's a complete waste if we just get rid of Jameis Winston because then it's like this was all for nothing. We suffered for the last 5 years with this guy, finally in a new system, just for nothing. You have to bring him back. you have to put all your eggs in his basket and sign him back again for a 1 to 2 year deal. And again, if he says, I want a 5-year deal, $30 million per year, I want this amount guaranteed. You say, okay, test the market. He's going to get nothing from the market because there's only one coach in the whole league that would put up with those interceptions, and that's Bruce Arians. And no other coach is going to do that, so he's not going to get that much money from free agency, and then he's going to come right back to us, and then we're going to sign him to a real deal. That's what I believe should happen for the quarterback situation in 2019. Again, the offseason checklist video is coming next week. Okay, I'm sorry I haven't made a video in a while. I just wanted the NFL offseason to officially start so I can start my Buccaneers offseason podcast. So this was the quarterback conundrum. The answer is Jameis Winston. I could be wrong, but at this point, the best thing for both sides would be for him to come back for at least one more year. Just one more year. See if Carson Palmer was right. See if the interceptions do come down. And if not, you have to move on, draft a rookie, sign a veteran, do whatever you got to do. But I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should bring back Jameis Winston for at least one more year. And I will see you guys next time for the off-season checklist. Go Bucs.